Hi, I'm Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this is what I'm calling the gist of the YouTube live that I did just the other day on spirituality and business, and can it coexist? So this, in terms of a gist or a shortened version, a synopsis, is a shortened version because sometimes you don't have time to watch and listen to me talk about things for an hour. So this is a synopsis, and I want to be short about it, but sometimes there's a lot to say. So in terms of business and spirituality, we have a focus. We have a dog right here. Come over here, Grace. Over here. Up. Our context of business is, in essence, we're doing something to get money. It's a transactional job. It's I'm doing this to get the money. You get me to do that, and we exchange that, or we exchange services, we exchange products. But it's a transactional. It's transactional, and what's missing, generally speaking, or quite often in business corporations, is the sense of a personal relationship that's involved, and going the next step in terms of not only a spiritual personal relationship, but also a spiritual relationship with ourselves, but also in the work that we're doing. Now, I work for myself, so I have a lot of flexibility in how I do business and how I am in my practice. And so I'm able to bring in and engage spiritual principles into my work life in a way perhaps someone who works in a corporation doesn't feel like they have the capacity to do. And quite often our perspectives are such that we're not allowed to consider spirituality in the workplace. Now that's changing. And it's changing in a lot of really cool ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have meditation centers or chapels or places to pray, but that the way that people engage with other people, the way that they do business, is more aligned to higher principles of truth, integrity. Those are pretty much the big ones. Truth, transparency is a really big one. Truth, integrity, transparency, respect. And you can say, well, how are those spiritual principles? Quite often, I think for me, the distinction is where we need to take a leap of faith, where we need to take a faith from in most of our business perspectives are fear-based. I want to do this in my business. I want to grow my business this way. I want to take my business in that way, or I want to be this way at work. And then we put the yes buts, the if onlys, or what ifs in there, because it's like, here's what I want to do, but I'm afraid. And so wherever we're afraid, we're unwilling to take that leap of faith. We're afraid. And any place that we're going in the direction of fear, as opposed to going in the direction of our expansion of self, that's the point of the choice point. And that's the point where it becomes, for me at least, a spiritual dilemma or spiritual issue, is I'm not willing to trust me. I'm not willing to trust a calling. I'm not willing to trust my inspiration or my intuition, which all is in a sense part of that source of who we are, the divine source who we are, at least this is how I see it. So any place in our business life or our relationships with our parents, our children, our partners, any place that we're, yes, but I'm afraid, we're not willing to expand ourselves into what we know is true for ourselves. And so in relation to business, this is a big deal. Quite often, there's a lot of shows on TV where it's like, I think there's this one show where people have restaurants and they're dying. They're getting, they're just kind of dying. And so some person comes in and says, here's what you need to do to change your business. And quite often it has to do with relationships with the people in the business, how we are in relationship with others says a lot about how we be in relationship with our business itself. And quite often, if we're working from a basis of fear, at some point there'll be a collapse of our business because we're operating out of fear. When we can begin to infuse it with something other than that fear, then something can grow. And that's kind of what this is about. Part of the challenge and where we're looking at this fear-based versus essence-based or inspiration-based or spiritual-based kind of way of being in work is, where are you doing what other people are telling you to do, but it doesn't feel right in your heart? Another one is that you're having this fear of failure, and that's keeping you from moving forward in your endeavors and towards that which you're inspired to do. I'm looking at my notes over here, so I apologize that I'm looking away. Having to let go of some ways of being that aren't you, but you've been doing them because you thought you had to, because you thought that's the way it had to be. But when you begin this process of saying, okay, I want to do, this isn't fun. If you're not having fun in your business, then it's not the right business, or there has to be a shift. So being clear about what that is, that's getting in the way of you having fun. And because if it's not fun, again, it's probably not yours to do. So that's another point, is when you're considering what's mine to do, it's like, what are you inspired to do versus what are you good at? People say, I want to start a business and here's what I'm good at. And they do that, but they're not necessarily fulfilled. And for me, what I want for you is that sense of fulfillment of your human spirit in the work that you're doing. And, the truth is, there's a statistic that says 80% of the people in the workplace are not happy. 80%. So if you're one of those 80%, then I want you to consider the possibility that maybe you're doing what you're good at, but maybe not doing what you love or what's yours to do. So that's a really important thing, is to begin to ask yourself questions like, am I having, part of it is like, people want the stability, the security, and the safety of a job, a corporate job, and they're making a lot of money. And they like that, but it's soulless, and they're doing, my dog is having a moment. They're being in their workplace in a way that's not fulfilling, and it's stressful, and not engaging their whole being. And I'm all about that. Let me get my dog. Hang on a second. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. This is Gracie. This is Gracie. She wanted to say hi. So these are important things. Working from home means that Gracie gets a lot of attention, and it's a good thing. As we grow, if we aren't growing, our businesses won't grow. A lot of people think that business is not personal. And for me, my experience, and I've worked in corporations in Silicon Valley, and as a coach, is that it's all personal. But the way that we see it and experience it, utilizing spiritual intelligence versus just getting emotional and angry, it's not about that, but it's about the personal elements of who you are and who you be in your work. And if it's not personal, then there will most likely, you'll be out of integrity and out of alignment with who you are in your essential nature. And what I want for you is to be in your alignment with your spiritual principles, as well as the business. My personal and spiritual principles are the same principles I use with my business, and they're value-based. And the money comes later. The money will come when you get these things lined up. And the same with clients. If you're wanting to start a business, like, well, where are the clients are going to come up? It's got like, how are you, in essence, marketing yourself? And if you're going for clients and you're being sell, but you're not willing to be who you are in your heart, people will go, oh yeah, she's got a great offer, but there's no substance. And that's what happens quite often. And I said this in the big YouTube live, is that I changed my email, I changed my website recently, theparadigmshifts.com. And the people who are helping me, they were like, wow, there's actually content in your website. You're actually providing content here, where they were shocked, because most of the people that they see are all about selling. And here's the product, and here's how much you can pay for it. And if that's, you know, if that's not all, here's something else that you might want to. And there's no substance, or very little. And it's quite often it's because we're afraid to really be true to ourselves and our essential nature and the transparency of who we are. So those are, let me just see if there's anything. So the big fat be with in this question, and this is just to help you perhaps be in the question of, what is it that I want? And is there a way to be spiritual, hold those spiritual principles while I'm doing my work and in my work? And that's primarily with the work that I do in the world, is to support and empower people to empower themselves to create that kind of business and career and lifestyle for themselves. That's what I want for you. So the big fat be with is being in the question and the dilemma. I did a whole series on this called Spiritual Dilemmas, being in the question of, how do I do business and evolve myself spiritually and personally and emotionally and all the other ways that we can. If we're not growing ourselves, our businesses will not grow. They may grow for a while, but there's a point where we need to grow ourselves in a different way that we ever imagined. So those are some of the big be withs. Trusting ourselves. I get called, like a spiritual calling, in this tap on my shoulder. Hey, and I go, wait, you really want me to? It's like, yeah, we want you to. And it's like, hell no, that's too scary. And a little while later, the tap will come again. And it's like, okay. And that willingness and learning, it's the learning and the growing the capacity to listen to what we're called to do. What are we inspired to do, versus here's what my father did and his father did, and so that's what I'm going to do. Or here's what my mother did, and this is what my Aunt Lucy did, and so that's what it's like, what's yours? What are you inspired to do? And that's what I'm encouraging to do that. I think it's really, really important for every single person who has a business to have a coach of some sort. And I call it a thinking partner, because they help you see how you're seeing things that may not be in alignment with what's really true for you and what you really want. So a thinking partner is as in the form of a mentor or a business coach or someone like that. It's really, really important. And if you want more information about all of this, check out the longer video on spirituality and business, and can they coexist? I think you'll find a lot of information there too. All right. Thanks very much for being here. Gracie says bye. Can you see? Bye. Bye. Bye-bye.